welcome back, dear viewers. Now it's time for our daily press review, and we start off from Nile News, and we have the following headline. President Fattah al-Sisi meets Czech Foreign Minister. President Fattah al-Sisi met on Monday with the visiting Czech Foreign Minister. During the meeting, the visiting Foreign Minister invited the President to visit the Czech Republic, pointing out that the visit will represent a powerful boost to the existing cooperation between the two countries. He also stressed that Egypt is a strategic partner of his country in the Middle East and expressed appreciation for Egypt's pivotal role in the region, adding that Egypt represents a major pillar of peace and stability. He also stressed the support of the Czech Republic for Egypt in fighting terrorism, referring to his country's keenness to cooperate with Egypt in this field. The meeting dealt with ways of enhancing bilateral relations between Egypt and the Czech Republic in various sectors, including strengthening of the Czech tourism to Egypt and increasing of trade. The Czech Foreign Minister said that a delegation led by the Czech Minister of Industry and Trade will visit Egypt this year to hold a joint committee on economic and technical cooperation between the two countries. For his part, President Fattah al-Sisi welcomed the invitation to visit the Czech Republic and praised the strength of bilateral ties between Egypt and the Czech Republic. Al-Sisi also stressed Egypt's keenness to develop bilateral cooperation between the two countries in all fields. He also expressed appreciation for the positions of the Czech support and assistance to the will of the Egyptian people. Also on Monday, the President met with the Minister of Investment, Ashraf Salman. During the meeting, the Minister reviewed the procedures being taken to ease investment atmosphere and development of the Ministry's work procedures, particularly in the field of establishing new companies. The Minister said that establishing companies witnessed a remarkable development as it increased to 863 companies per month during the fiscal year 2014-2015 compared to 477 companies in the previous fiscal year. The Minister also reviewed the flows of foreign direct investment in Egypt, which increased during the fiscal year 2014-2015 by 56.1% to a record $6.4 billion compared to $4.1 billion during the previous fiscal year.
And dear viewers, moving on to Al-Yom Al-Saba, where we read the Prime Minister Sharif Ismail holds a cabinet meeting, and he held a meeting on Monday with the attendance of the representatives from the armed forces to evaluate the progress in developing railway crossing points all over the country. The meeting came after the accident in which 7 people were killed and 2 injured in a railway crossing point in Al-Ayat in Giza Governorate. Also on Monday, during the cabinet meeting, the Prime Minister stressed the government's determination to find solutions to all the problems facing the citizens, especially improving services in the health sector. The Premier added that this determination is based on the state policy to achieve social justice. The Prime Minister also headed on Monday the economic group meeting. During the meeting, the Premier gave his directives to put a comprehensive blueprint for the development of tourism and in all areas in the North Coast. Cabinet spokesman Ambassador Hussam Qawish said that a number of tourism and population projects in Matruh have been approved. Also on Monday, the Prime Minister met with the new members of the National Council for Women. During the meeting, the Prime Minister praised the role of the Egyptian women in political participation and her effective contribution to the completion of the political roadmap. He said that was clearly demonstrated by the intense participation in the referendum on the Constitution and presidential as well as parliamentary elections.
And moving to Al-Tahrir newspaper, and we read the following headline. Parliament Speaker receives European delegation Saturday. The House of Representatives announced on Monday that the Parliament Speaker, Dr. Ali Abdel Al, will receive a delegation from the European Parliament next Saturday. A statement from the House of Representatives said that the visit aims to strengthen ties and cooperation between the two parliaments. The delegation will be headed by the chairman of the European Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, Elmar Brok. The committee oversees the European Union's external relations. The delegation will congratulate the House of Representatives with the parliamentary elections and the convening of the parliament. Dr. Abdel Al has previously received ambassadors of Saudi Arabia, Spain, and South Korea.
And moving to Al-Ahram, where we read Egypt to launch agricultural commodities bourse by the end of the year. And Supplies Minister Dr. Khaled Hanafi said on Monday that Egypt plans to launch an agriculture commodities trading exchange, the first of its kind in the Middle East, by the end of 2016. Also, Hanafi said that a feasibility study had been completed and the next step was to draw up regulations and establish the electronic infrastructure to connect farmers with traders. The bourse would begin with 8 commodities and will also feature derivative and future trading. As part of the exchange launch, a mobile application will be offered to Egyptian farmers that will allow them to have their agricultural output tracked by the market electronically through their crops to the exchange.
And moving to Al-Yom Al-Saba newspaper, and we have the following headline: Egyptian-Russian committee discusses new protocols to enhance bilateral cooperation. Russian Minister of Industry and Trade Alexander Batabov and his accompanying delegation arrived in Cairo on Monday in a 2-day visit. During his visit, he participates in the activities of the 10th session of the Joint Egyptian-Russian Economic Committee and will meet a number of officials to discuss ways of boosting cooperation between Egypt and Russia. Earlier on Monday, head of the Egyptian-Russian Business Council, Shamil Orlov, announced that the Egyptian-Russian Government Committee discussed a new protocol of enhancing bilateral relations between Cairo and Moscow. He pointed out that the new protocol includes several items, among them the establishment of a Russian industrial zone in Egypt. Orlov said that the committee is discussing several proposals, including formation of a joint commission for quarantine, which will be working to remove obstacles of Egypt's vegetables and fruit export to Russia. The proposals also include the formation of a joint bank committee to facilitate the use of the pound and the ruble in the trade between the two countries, and a third committee that is specialized in pharmaceutical industry. Pointed out that there is a delegation from 100 Russian companies currently visiting Egypt to discuss cooperation with their Egyptian counterparts.
And to El-Wafd, where we read French Foreign Minister condemns terrorist attacks in North Sinai. French Foreign Ministry condemned on Monday the terrorist attacks which took place in North Sinai, killing a number of the armed forces and police personnel. French Foreign Ministry spokesman Roman Nadal said in a press statement that France offers condolences to the families of the martyrs. He also asserted that France stands shoulder to shoulder with Egypt in its war against terrorism.
And still with Al-Yom Al-Saba newspaper, and we read the following headline: UK, US, Malta send 1,000 soldiers to Libya. British media said on Monday that the US and the United Kingdom authorities are piling pressure on Libya to take in 1,000 British troops to bolster its defense against Daesh militants. The Pentagon and the French government have been pressing for direct action in Libya following a meeting in Paris last week with Italy saying it would consider involvement. But Britain fended off questions about whether the troops would be deployed in a combat training role. The talk of Western military action in Libya restarted after the U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter said the allies were preparing options to prevent Daesh from establishing training sites in Libya and welcoming foreign fighters in the way it had done in Iraq and Syria. Meanwhile, the African Union leaders at a summit in Addis Ababa called for a political solution in Libya to curb the spread of Daesh. Earlier, international pressure mounted on Libya to form a national unity government as Daesh group expands at the doorstep of Europe and the rest of Africa.
And to Egypt stock, the stock-related news, Egypt's stock.
Actually, Karim, we still have a report about the situation. We still have a report about the situation in Libya, so stay tuned.
gather on Tuesday to plot their fight against the Daesh militant group in Syria and Iraq and how to choke off its rise in Libya. The meeting takes place as talks have begun in Geneva to try to end the 5-year civilian war in Syria. Officials said 23 nations from the wider global coalition to counter Daesh will review their to regain Syrian and Iraqi territory from the group and to discuss ways to curb its wider influence, notably in Libya. U.S. officials said the Pentagon's fiscal year 2017 budget will call for more than $7 billion to fight Daesh, up roughly a third from the previous year's request to Congress. Officials added that Tuesday's meeting will cover stabilizing areas such as the Iraqi city of Tikrit, which has been wrested from the group, as well as broader efforts to undercut its finances, stem the flow of foreign fighters, and counter its messaging. The potential spread of Daesh to Libya, where rival factions are struggling to form a united government nearly 5 years after a Western coalition helped topple Muammar Gaddafi, will feature prominently. The focus on Libya, Syria, and Iraq remain the main theaters of action against Daesh.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and we have finally some Egyptian stocks-related news, and Egypt's stock market indices decline. Egypt's stock market declined on Monday, snapping a 5-day gaining streak. The benchmark index, EGX 30, lost 1.4% to close at 5,906 points. The small and medium caps index, EGX 70, slipped 1.1% to 352 points. The broader index, EGX 100, declined 1.1% to 707 points, while the equal weight index, EGX 50, fell 1.1% to 1,084 points. The market's capital shed 2.7 billion pounds to reach 388.4 billion pounds, down from 391.1 billion pounds in the previous session. Local and foreign investors ended as net sellers with 5.4 million pounds and 42.3 million pounds respectively, while Arab investors came as net buyers with 47.7 million pounds.
Well, dear viewers, this was the last piece of news we have in the press review for today. Stay tuned for more updates coming up on Nile TV International.